Welcome. I'm Dee Perry, welcoming you to the Cleveland International Film Festival's official podcast, CIFF Speaks. I'm here with my producer, Aaron Spears. Hey, Aaron.
Hello, Dee, and hello, film fans.
And it is day 7 of CIFF43. And as we've been talking about in this podcast, the current festival is triggering memories of past festivals we've attended, Aaron. And I didn't have to go far for the memory I'm about to share, which was just at last year's festival. The opening night film was one that really affected me. It was called The Drummer and the Keeper. And there was an opening sequence in that film that still sticks in my memory. The main character, who's dealing with a bipolar disorder, is on screen on a bleak landscape on a beach. He's set a sofa on fire, and he's walking through the scene dressed in a jacket and a shirt, and nothing below. So it was partly the strangeness of that image and then the really affecting storytelling about mental health issues that followed. And the film was done in such a charming, heartfelt way that it's really stuck with me this whole time. But also hearing one of the film forum conversations that was built around that film as well has just really made it an emotional touchstone. And I feel like that's something that happens on an hourly basis for tens of thousands of people at the festival.
Absolutely. It even goes back to what Bill mentioned about picking the right opening night movie. It stuck with you, it hit you, and it's a very satisfying kind of redemptive story that sticks with the viewer long after opening night is over with.
Yeah. So Aaron, a little bit later in this podcast, we're going to hear about today's film forum. But before we get to that, we want to take you behind the scenes with another of the festival's staff who programs films that are different in length than the features. And I'm talking about the shorts programs. The programmer of those shorts joins me now, Paul Sloop. Welcome to CIFF Speaks.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start with some basics. Your official title at CIFF is what?
The Short Films Programming Manager.
And you've been doing that for?
This role specifically, this is my 6th year, but I've been the programmer for 16.
Is there a specific avenue that got you on that track?
I just love short films. I attended this festival, was a huge fan of the short film programs, eventually became a member of the selection committee, worked with the previous person in my role, Jesse Epstein, for a few years on what became the programming team, which was a smaller group that watched everything. And when he had to leave and they asked him for a recommendation as to who might replace him, he recommended me. They asked, and I've been loving the role ever since.
Tell me how the role unfolds. I mean, as the guy in charge of the shorts, are you like Bill Gensler going out to scout for them, or is there another way you receive them?
We do. I don't scout quite as much as Bill, but I go to 2, sometimes 3 big shorts only festivals to maximize the time. I always go to Palm Springs every year. It's one of the biggest in North America. Attend that every year. That's where we find a lot. I usually go to a second LA Hollywood based. Last year was Holly Shorts. Where I saw the world premiere of the film that ended up winning live action and thought that it was going to. It was that good this past year. So usually I attend a couple major festivals, and then we get so many short film submissions here. We need to spend most of the rest of the time, culling through those and finding the best of the best. This year that was over 3,000 short films that were submitted. So that takes a lot of time all by itself. But yeah, I do a little bit of both.
In that selection for the submission process being it's the digital era now, so that's presumably mostly online, Film Freeway, and some of those, they get submitted. Have you seen that change over the years that you've been just associated with, even if you weren't in charge of, but working with the shorts program here at CIFF?
Yeah, in my 16 years, it was VHS tapes.
Oh, really?
I
guess it had to have been.
Yes, it was VHS tapes, and boxes were being transported all over town so that people could see them. Then the boxes got smaller because they became DVDs. Mm-hmm. And now there's none of that. Even 2 or 3 years ago, we would get a few people still sending DVDs. That's gone. Most films are Vimeo links now.
Okay.
Even though they submit via the other platforms, they send us a Vimeo link, and it's Vimeo's platform really works well to preview films.
Does that correspond to the number of submissions going up each year, or has it been kind of holding steady at a certain number for a while? Or
I think if you look at percentage-wise, you'd see that regardless of the format, we've been on a steady climb over those years anyway. It certainly, that percentage got a little higher that it would grow once it became easier to not be mailing things to people. But yeah, it seems every year we go up by another 10% on the short film submissions.
And you mentioned seeing a film that you immediately thought that's a winner. So I wonder if you have a hard and fast set of guidelines that says this makes a short worthy of a festival.
Well, it's a number of things. In the end, mostly it's just your response to the film. Just like watching a feature, you have a response to it that how you feel. Was it excellent? Did it make you feel something? When I see those films I watch a lot of films. So when there's one that stands out and makes me go, wow, I know that the likelihood is the audience here in Cleveland is going to have the same response. That's what I'm looking for. Across the spectrum, from horror films to comedies to heartfelt dramas, it just needs to affect you. You need to have a response, an emotional response to it in whatever genre and what response they're trying to get from you. When I feel that with as many as I watch, I know that film just stood out in a sea of possibilities. When you see one, now you're looking at what makes those stand out is production value, storytelling, performances by actors. There's so many things you're looking at. But in the end, when they pull it all together, there's a lot more really high quality short films that are available to us every year than we're able to play. But of the 3,000, there's maybe 10 to 15% of them that are in the mix that we're going to consider. And about half of those are going to make it.
And even with all that winnowing down, you have a really extensive screening of shorts programs. So talk about the process of making a program. Aaron and I were trying to place bets on how you do it. Numbers in a hopper, or is there an art and science of programming a day of shorts?
There really is, especially the way we do it. I go to a lot of festivals where they attempt to theme the programs. I fell in love with them here, and David Witkowski put them together years ago when I started going, and there was never a theme. It was just a wild collection of different genres, and those different genres make the program work. If the films are good, seeing an animated film, a documentary, something that's serious, something that's heartfelt, something that makes me laugh in a program gives you virtually the same roller coaster ride that a really good feature film does. It made me laugh. It made me cry. When it does all those things, it's a magical ride in a feature film. Well, we take a 90-minute shorts program and attempt to do the same thing. We're going to teach you something through a doc. We're going to show you some good animation. We're going to maybe make you cry, maybe make you laugh, and then the best of what's left to round out the program. And all I'm looking is to find those building blocks for every program and make it work in that 90 to 95 minute span so that every time you come to a program at our festival, you're going to have that experience. And when we do it that way, you almost don't need to know what any of the individual films are about. That's the discovery process of going to a shorts program.
Just to go a little deeper into that, it sounds like you do make the effort to balance it. It's not all heart-rending tragedy or hard-hitting documentaries. You try to make variety.
Yes. What I would say the artistic part of my job is once we've selected the films, then taking them and building the programs and trying to consider, okay, which drama makes sense because of the tone. Some dramas are really heavy, some are less so. Some of documentaries cover multiple categories because I always look at a film, does it make you feel good? Does it make you sad? And so some docs are very uplifting. So that can bring a balance to a program where the drama is really heavy. So that's what I'm looking at. What are the emotional beats in every program so that I've sort of got all of them in there. And then every audience, no matter which program you pick, gets to see the full range of human emotion played out in different stories and in different genres.
There's also a very interesting uniqueness to me with short films because you don't really get, as a general audience, to experience short film. I mean, you can on the internet. There's plenty of places to find short films, but watching on your home on your computer is one thing. Getting the theatrical experience with a huge crowd of people. There's a very devoted shorts fan base that I've seen at CIFF over the years. that they love coming in because you get to see shorts on the big screen. And like you said, you get that kind of roller coaster of emotions throughout the whole program that just it hooks you right away and keeps you coming back. Because where else do you get to experience shorts on a big screen in a theatrical environment?
That's what makes the festival experience for shorts invaluable. It's the only place where there's that community experience of film with the short genres. And then at a festival, you also have so many of the artists who make the trip, and then you discover these, and many of them go on to do really exciting things in the future with features. We have filmmakers coming back this year that are with their feature films now that have been here before with short films, and we got to know them as a community early on in their process and their career. And that's an exciting element of it too. But there's nothing like, I fell in love with movies first, shorts later. And it's that going to a theater in the dark with other people, we feed off of each other's emotions. A comedy is so much funnier when there's a crowd of people laughing together than it is sitting at home alone.
On that note, I wonder if you've had back and forth conversations with audience members about their reactions to things that you've programmed.
A lot of our audience talk to me. They love to share what they loved, what they didn't like. There's way more over the years love for our programs and the way we do it. Not only our audience, what's amazing is to hear the filmmakers too who attend our festival talk about the way we do it, because it's so common at a lot of festivals to try to theme programs. And it's really important to me the way we do it, because I've been to programs where it's 5 films about war. Part of, to me, why that is a struggle to do is because when an audience leaves because they've seen 5 films about the same theme, a lot of times they're like, which one was the one where in my programs, that's very rarely going to happen because they had, and so from a filmmaker's perspective too, even though you're playing with 5 or 6 other films, your film stands out and it's blocked because it was the animated film, or it was the funny film, or it was the one that made me cry. So they pop. That makes all of them brighter because it's not 5 shades of blue. It's blue, pink, purple, orange. It's a rainbow of films.
One thing, Paul, that's interesting is that CIFF is an Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences qualifying festival for shorts. How does that work? Give us a sense of what happens.
So for about a decade, maybe a little over a decade now, we've been an Oscar qualifier. What that means is that most films qualify for Oscars and shorts by winning an Oscar qualifying festival. There are so many shorts out there. I'm telling you, we had over 3,000 submissions. The Oscars have no interest in trying to sift through 3,000 films to figure out which ones might be Oscar quality. So they come to the festivals that curate these shorts and they say, okay, you have a history, a track record of playing the kind of films that we'd want to consider. So you're a nominating festival. All it means is that the film becomes eligible because they win one of the Oscar qualifying awards here. Until 4 years ago, for us, that was just the live action narrative and animation. Then 4 years ago, we were able to add documentary to the list as well. When we did that, that made us one of only 19 festivals in the world that qualify shorts in all 3 categories. That's a very rare thing to have. And this year we had our first doc winner too. We were the nominating festival for Period End of Sentence. And they went on to win the Oscar. So now we've had 2 animateds, 1 live action, and 1 documentary in our decade of being an Oscar. And all 4 times that a film's been nominated, it's won. So we've had no nominees that didn't win. It's like if you're a Cleveland film that gets nominated, you're probably going home with an Oscar.
That's pretty cool.
How did that start then? Was it the Academy contacted the festival? What's the criteria on the Academy's end? Do you just have to be a long-standing festival that has proven that you have good curation over the years, or
that's the element they're looking for to even accept your application.
Okay.
They're looking for a festival with a track record. There's certain criteria you need to meet. I put the packet together that we needed to submit for documentary status. And that included, you needed filmmakers to write recommendations for you. And they had to be documentary short filmmakers who had attended the festival. Along with, they wanted to look at your last 5 years give us how many docs did you play? How many films did you play? What's your attendance? So they consider all those things. But it's really exciting to be one of 19 that, all 3 categories, no matter what kind of short film you're submitting to us, you have a chance.
Nice.
And finally, for the newcomer to the film festival, what would you say to them about experiencing a shorts program?
Give it a shot. And I say that because I walked into my first shorts program having no idea what I was. I came to the Cedar Lee Theater so many years ago to see my first independent foreign film at a festival, and it was My Life as a Dog. And
it's a good pick.
It was a good pick. And that made me like, wow, this is amazing. I think I'd only been, watching Hollywood studio films to that point. I was a fairly young man at the time, but I picked up the program guide and there was this shorts programs. I'm like, well, what is a shorts program? And I decided to go find out. And from that point on, the first thing I would do every year is get the program guide and plan all the shorts programs and then what features I could see around the shorts programs. And I always say, if I can get you to attend one program, I've got you.
All right.
It's just getting you in the door to experience that. They're just as good as the features. They're just short. And we've got a collection of them. And one of the great things about shorts is that unlike a feature, you get, halfway through feature, if you're like, yeah, I'm not really digging this film.
Right.
You're stuck. That's what you get. In a short, if you don't like the first one, the second one, you get usually 6 or 7 chances.
Yeah.
And almost always half of them, you're like, wow, I really love this one, and the other. These two were pretty good. You're going to have a wide range of opinions on the films, but you're going to find something that just, wow, I'm really glad I saw that, and especially with an audience. So,
Paul, thank you so much for giving us a behind-the-scenes peek at what it takes to program the shorts at the Cleveland International Film Festival.
And thank you.
And now we're going to speak a bit about the upcoming Film Forum.
Yeah, today's film forum is Roll Red Roll at 7:15 p.m. Anybody from Cleveland and Ohio in general. Well, actually, I think it made kind of national news as well, if I remember correctly. A few years back in 2012, 2 high school football players were charged with sexual assault in Steubenville, Ohio. So this documents the way that case played out, and it also was the era of social media. So this documentary distills all that down. And then the topic for discussion with the panel after this film is, what will it take to put a stop to rape culture?
Oh, that's going to be a fascinating discussion, and one that if you want to be part of, you can attend the Cleveland International Film Festival. An easy way to get to the festival at Tower City Center is RTA and Lyft. All RTA trains and many bus lines are providing direct service to Tower City Center, and we have an official rideshare, Lyft, which is offering discounts for existing customers. And if you want to keep up with everything CIFF, visit clevelandfilm.org. You can also follow CIFF on social media or use the CIFF app. I'm Dee Perry.
I'm Aaron Spears.
And thank you for listening to CIFF Speaks.